An armed society is a polite society. Manners are good when one may have to back up his acts with his life. But apparently, 30-year-old Long Island man George Greer wasn't kind enough to the 25 gang members that invaded his property and threatened to kill his kids. George Greer was the one who police arrested. We're going to go rapid fire through your calls on the Alex Jones Show. What do you think about this? We've got Tyranny Rival in California. You are on the air. Go ahead.
Yes, hello. First-time caller. Been listening for a couple months now. Been waking up. But on this subject, there's something similar I've listened to in the past here in California because I used to watch mainstream media. There's something similar to where a burglar broke into someone's home and the person shot the person in the leg just to, injure them so the police can come. And then the person that got shot in the leg, the burglar, went to court and sued the homeowner. And basically, that person obviously won. And there was another incident where the person killed that family member, or killed the robber. And then the family pressed charges against the homeowner. But, I mean, like you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, there are cases where a burglar has come in through a skylight and hurt himself, and then the homeowners get sued because the skylight was improperly built to allow the burglar to come in and rob them. So I guess just lay down and die. That's what the government's telling us. We can't defend ourselves. Our home's not our castle anymore. Just stay frightened, stay peeking behind the curtain. Don't worry, the police will be along shortly after your wife and kids have been slaughtered. We're going to go to Chris in Georgia. Chris, you're on the air.
Hey, Paul. How's it going now?
Going well. What's on your mind, Chris?
I want to touch on, the politicians passing these laws and people. Well, first I want to commend you and Alex and everybody there for everything you guys do. It's great. These politicians, they're passing these laws. They're not stupid. Everyone thinks the laws are stupid, that the politicians are stupid. They're not stupid. They're sinister. They know exactly what they're doing. Disarm the entire public. If somebody like me can figure this out, somebody in their position should be able to figure that out. Of course they know it. And I also commend that woman, for calling the police while the man's beating on the back door. If he had been beating on my back door, the cops get called after he's laying on the ground. And it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous to have to. And who's going to abide by a gun law? I mean, law-abiding citizens abide by the law, obey the law, right? It's perfect sense there. Anyway, hearing stuff like that makes me want to vent. 25 people in your yard. Again, the cops get called. If they're in my yard, they're in a pile before I even think about calling the cops. Anyway.
Well, that's exactly right. I mean, it's not just the fact that they were on his yard. They were screaming and threatening to kill his wife and kids. And he didn't eat. I mean, 99% of people would have shot him in the head. He unloaded 4 rounds into his own lawn, and apparently that was an overreaction. That was recklessness. So, I mean, if this is allowed to become the precedent, then you're going to end up worse than England, where people can't even carry knives in their own home. Matt in the UK, you're on the air. Go ahead. Hello, Matt. Are you there? Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, Paul. How you doing? Yeah, hi, mate. Yeah, my question is basically, you mentioned about this, obviously, this gun scenario in America. Just from a British point of view, in the Mail paper today, and there's a guy in the UK basically been found with military shells and guns. Obviously, they're all legal above board. It's going to show you how the mainstream press are fear-mongering in this country now and making such a big hierarchy thing about guns, fear-mongering the British public. What do you agree on that one?
Yeah, well, they've been doing it since at least the early 90s and then the mid-90s with the Hamilton Dunblane shooting, which has some very strange connections. And, of course, if those teachers during the Dunblane massacre would have been allowed to be armed, then a lot less people would have died. That prompted the 97 gun ban in the UK, and since 97, the rate of violent crime in the UK has doubled. Why? Because criminals can now act safe in the knowledge that nobody can defend themselves. I mean, this is why your chances of getting mugged in London are 6 times higher than major cities in the United States. There's another stat that I came across while doing the research for this. 53% of English burglaries occur while occupants are at home, compared to 13% in the US. Why is that? Because the burglars, the criminals, know that the majority of people in the United States are going to blow them away if they come in the house. In England, safe in the knowledge, you can go in, try to kill people, burgle them, and then, often is the case, the victim is going to get charged. And that's how there have been many cases of that in Britain that we've covered over the years on the Alex Jones Show, and I talked about one earlier today. So thanks for the call, Matt. We're going to go to Barry in Arizona. Barry, you're on the air.
Hey, Paul. This is an opportunity for people to kind of study, the psychology of government in general, because this whole trend of blaming the victim is particular to people that are either sociopathic or antisocial. And I've been making the case for a long time that government is antisocial and sociopathic.
Oh no, that's a common trait, especially with people like serial killers who will often blame the victim for their crime. It's like we were talking about Charlie Manson yesterday. Manson absolves his blame in the murders of Tate and LaBianca, and all his followers did at the time, because they said that it was necessary to kill people for the environment and that it was part of a war. And that is a classic sociopathic trait among serial killers, to blame the victim. So now our own governments exercise that psychological illness in their war against the people. We're going to move on. Yeah, go ahead.
It's a constant theme running through government, and people can, once they realize this, then they can see government for what it really is. And, anyway, that's all I had to say.
That's right. It's feeding on us. It's feeding on us, and to make it easier to do so, we have to be defenseless. Robert in California, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Mr. Paul Joseph Watson, I heard from my butler, has informed me of there's a serious issue of the man not being part of the Royal Admiralty. Apparently he does not have no sir after his name. Well, he will not get justice, no sir. No sovereign entities such as Mr. Greer and the gang members will ever receive justice, because, you see, the bankers consider them more of a threat than any non-armed citizen. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense. The accent doesn't, though, because I live at the opposite end of the country to where you'll hear that accent. Thanks for the call. Matt in Minnesota, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hey, I just wanted to point out that when the media uses terms like AK-47 to describe the weapon, the firearm that guy had, that's just sort of a way to demonize firearms, to the commoners and the slaves, because when people hear the word AK-47, which it probably wasn't an AK-47. It was probably just a copy, a semi-automatic rifle. And, they use that term, so people are like, ooh, this guy had an AK-47. Why did he have that? Why did he fire that? And you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's exactly the case. They focus on the fact that he had a gun. I mean, that's what the majority of the story is about. In fact, on the CBS News story, there's a picture above the news story of a row of AK-47s, as if this